What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video. In today's video, guys, I'm going over how to build a gear set for a character in Grand Cross. So in this video, I'm going to be going over basically how you go about building gear sets in the game, how you should be building them specifically, and then also what requirements you need before you can actually start building a gear set in Grand Cross. So I'm making this video because I don't think a lot of people know about like how you should be going about building gear sets in this game, because it is like it's not complicated, but there are like some tips and tricks that I can teach you guys when you're building a gear set that can actually help long term if you invest in a specific character with the gear set. So let's hop into the video here. So Purgatory Bond, as you guys know, is a character that doesn't scale off attack at all. So for my Purgatory Bond UR gear set, I went with running crit damage pieces on the top pieces, right? And I also went with crit chance, crit damage rolls on the top pieces as well. This is just an example of how building a gear set in a specific way can be beneficial for your character here, because since my Purgatory Bond is 6 out of 6, it would be ideal that I run him as Link on a character, right? Because he is the highest CC character in the game. So if I have him as Link, it's gonna make that character that I'm running a higher CC than it was before. So what I did is that I have the crit damage pieces on the top, and I also made a UR gear set for the defense pieces here. So I'm going to equip the defense pieces. You guys are going to see the jump in CC. I was about 57,000 CC with the, the HP crit damage. With the HP defense, I get to 61,392. So that's the first tip I can give when building a gear set, is think about your future uses of the character's gear. Because if you're going to be using the character as a Link, or if you're going to be using the character as a attacking unit, you want to have two different types of gear sets. And the way I like to go about building gear sets like that is going to be mainly like this. Let me pull up my assault mode's gear set right here. So my assault mode is running attack crit damage on his gear set. I'm running the top two pieces as attack, I'm running the bottom two pieces as attack as well, and then the middle pieces are going to be the crit damage. So the reason I set up my gear set in this way is because if you're going to be setting up a gear set, or if you're planning on building a gear set in Grand Cross anyway, you might want to make another set in the future for the same character. So for Meliotis, this assault mode Meliotis is obviously a DPS, but you can also run him as a Link because he is a very high CC, right? This goes for basically any other Meliotis in the game as well. So if you want to run counter melee as Link, or if you want to run the SR Meliotis, if you're free to play, you're gonna want to have an HP defense set for that character. So what I have is another gear set, right? Specifically HP defense, but as you can see, the specific location of my pieces of gear are the exact same as my attack crit damage set. I have the defense pieces in the middle, just as the crit damage pieces were in the middle, and then I have the HP pieces on the top and the bottom, just as the attack pieces were on the top and the bottom. And so amazing. Why should I be setting my gear up in this manner? And the reason for that is because if you wanted to run HP crit damage for whatever reason on your assault with Meliotis, or if you wanted to run attack defense on your assault with Meliotis, what you could do is you could remove the middle pieces, switch the gear set over, remove these middle pieces, and then boom, you got an attack defense set. Right, you got an attack defense set on assault with Meliotis, and then you can also have an HP crit damage set, as you can see. So you have a lot of variety when you set up your gear set in this way, because the defense pieces in the middle don't really count towards much CC at the end of the day. So if you were planning on running, an HP crit damage, or an HP defense, or an attack defense, or an attack crit damage, you can kind of interchange your gear sets depending on how you want to go about it. So that's basically the locations of where I would place my gear. Always put the HP pieces on the top and the attack pieces on the top. You want to put your crit damage or defense in the middle, and then you want to do your HP on the bottom. So that's basically that on how you go about starting your location of your gear sets, where each piece needs to be located. Let's start actually building a set now for a character. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here, get one of my characters that I need to build a gear set on. I'm thinking I'm going to be building a gear set on, let's see here. I know I was planning on making a Grimoire one, but I think I already started it. Let's see. Yeah, so I think I started this one already, but I guess this is a good example. So this gear set right here for my Grimoire, it's not done, as you guys can see, obviously, but the first thing you want to make sure about your gear is that the gear set's base roll is going to be really high. So this Grimoire one is 512 out of 520, which is a pretty good roll. I'd say anything 80% to 90% or above, I would say you could probably keep as a free-to-play, because at that point it doesn't really matter. But you want to make sure it's around this area on your actual, like, you know, gear set base roll, right? The base roll is very important, because if you have this already really high, then you don't have to worry about this in the future. You could just worry about, like, you know, interchanging the rolls with anvils. That's not the issue. It's mainly the base stat that is the issue on the gear set. So I'm gonna just lock that up. And then I have this one right here on the right, 278 to 280, perfect. That, like, if you get anything like this, just keep it. And then use anvils to reroll the base stats. And then, yeah, we'll move on. So this one right here, you want to make sure it's kind of high. So this one I would probably reroll till it's about around here, because you could reroll it with anvils if you choose to, right? So that one's kind of low, but it could be rerolled. This one definitely needs to be swapped out. So if I had, like, this one's probably better, yeah, but I would still re-roll this one, or I would look for a better piece, because generally, like, you know, anything that's like around this area will be what you want to need. If it's like here, then like you can still use it, but I think like long term you're gonna be losing a lot of stats. So I highly advise, just like when you get the gears piece, make sure that it's a high roll before actually equipping it on your character. Like this one probably could actually work instead of the other one I have, and this one's already maxed out too. So yeah, so for my Grimoire, I'm going to be running HP defense because he's going to be a link unit. Also, if I run him on the bond team, I want to have as much CC as possible for my Grimoire, so definitely an HP defense set, right? The bottom pieces, obviously, you'd want to have really high rolls. This one's just really bad. And then this one, I think, is like fairly good. Okay, no, it's actually in the middle, which is not good at all. You definitely want to switch this, so like probably something like this or a little bit higher I would take, right? The HP rolls are harder to get because there's so much like space here in terms of like how much you can get. But if you get it at like 5,000 plus on a belt, that's really good. And if you get I'd say probably like 2,700 plus on the rune there, then you're kind of set. But yeah, that's basically how you go about the base rolls of the gear. Now let's talk about the rolls of the gear itself. So depending on the character, obviously at the beginning of the video I mentioned Purgatory Bond and how he was running crit damage pieces and the crit damage rolls. With Purgatory Bond, he scales off HP, so attack was not necessarily needed for his build. But for every other character in the game, like 99% of the characters in the game scale off of attack, defense, and HP for CC on the character. So if you're planning on running this character for CC, or if you're planning on running this character for high, like, you know, DPS as an attack, crit damage, whatever the case, I'd highly advise going for attack on the top two pieces, defense on the middle two pieces, and then HP on the bottom pieces, because that's going to give you the most CC long term when building a gear set. If you have, like, you know, the bottom pieces like worked on with HP, and you have the top pieces attack, and then the middle pieces are like 10% defense, that can still work. Like ideally you want to use your anvils mainly on the belt, the rune, the bracelet, and the ring, because those are going to be the most important like stats, I'd say, in terms of CC. But that's how you go about building like the you know, the sets here. Like if I go to like my my assault mode again, if you pull my assault mode Meliotis, he has on his base rolls basically like 14% or higher on these, and then the base roll itself is already really good. So like the rolls, you want to go for like around 14% is like viable in PvP, I'd say. If you don't really mind PvP at all, then like just go for as high rolls as you can on attack, defense, HP. At that point it doesn't really matter, but like, you know, HP right there as you can see, and then, you know, 2,700 with a really good base or like the substat rolls right there. And then like my middle crit damage pieces are actually like kind of cracked. Like these are pretty high, right? This does take time. Obviously you're not going to be able to build like a gear set like this instantly. Obviously this took me a lot of effort to build this gear set, but that's just like an example I can kind of go over here. Like with this piece especially, like, you know, attack defense right here on assault melee, and he's already, you know, like chilling with a lot of attack there. But yeah, you guys might be wondering, amazing, how am I supposed to re-roll the gear now? How am I supposed to get the higher pieces? Basically, you know, going about getting rolls on your character. So let's go back to my Grimoire here, and let's go back to his gear piece, and we can actually go to change stats, and then what we can do is we can auto re-roll to make sure that we get attack. So you always want to focus attack, defense, or HP, as I mentioned. So those are going to be the main ones you go for. And if you're going to re-roll, make sure you go for like 2.5 or higher, I'd say, if you're free to play. Anything like 2.5 or higher as like a free to play is solid, because at that point you would cap out at like I think 13% or like 12%, which is, you know, fairly solid. If you are like a top tier PvP player or anything like that, you would definitely go like 2.8 or higher, because at that point you could just, you know, re-roll, or you could not re-roll, but you could hammer it twice and then you would instantly get it to 3%, right? But 2.8 is like, you know, that's like if you're really trying to min-max, like if you really just, you know, have a ton of anvils and you just don't mind. But generally I'd go with 2.5, and then you re-roll these till you get a fairly decent like attack roll right here, and then once you get the attack roll that's high enough, you keep the gear piece, you move on to the next one. The ones I would prioritize mainly though would be definitely your belt and your rune first off, because they give the most CC, because HP scaling in this game is what gives you the most CC long term. I'd say like whenever you're rolling like a piece for HP, you do get a lot more CC than you would if you were doing attack or defense. But you would basically do it in this order. You would do your belt, your rune, you would do your bracelet, then your ring, and then you would do your two middle pieces in the middle, the defense or the crit damage pieces. So yeah, that's basically how you go about building a gear set, guys. If you're wondering on how to get like enhanced materials and stuff, that's kind of just like in your salvage area. So when you get like excess gear and you don't really need it, you can kind of just +5 it and salvage it. So I'd take something like this. Like if this was a really bad like piece of gear here, I would take this, make sure it's +5, and then you would go through all your pieces of gear that are +5 here, and you would just salvage it, and you would get a bunch of redstones back for your piece. Another thing to know as well about gear when you're building it is that you actually get gems for making gear. So it's not even like a case where like you don't get a lot. Like if I was to awaken this a 5-star here, which I'll just do for the video's sake, we do get a gem just for doing that, right? So if you're making a full gear set, you're going to be getting 6 gems back for every gear set you make. So it's not bad like in terms of like you making gear for your entire box like eventually, because over time, you know, just getting box CC for your characters, and then also like if you plan on making a gear set for that character anyway, you might as well just make them a set. But yeah, that's basically it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. That's basically how you go about building gear in 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. Let me know if this helped you guys in the comment section below. That's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comment section below. And I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace out and have a great rest of your day.